Hey everyone, Jason here with buyfi.ca. I don't know about you, but I've always kind of wished I had a crystal ball to try to predict where the real estate market's headed or where the economy's headed. Unfortunately, crystal balls aren't a real thing, but there is something that we can use to kind of predict the future a little bit. And those are lead and lag indicators. Lead indicators can be a pretty clear indication of where we're headed, and lag indicators explain why we are where we are currently and what's happened in the past. So stay tuned, I'm going to be talking a little bit about each. Alright, so what is a lead indicator and what is a lag indicator? A lead indicator is usually something that can be a bit of a foreshadowing for things to come. It's usually the cause or a direct result of a cause that's going to shape the future. A lag indicator is the consequence, the aftermath of something that's happened. So if you can get good at recognizing lead indicators and where that might be steering us in the future, you can sometimes not necessarily predict the future, but have a better understanding of where we're headed. So I'll give you a bit of an example. There's a bicycle store that's been buying its bicycles from a manufacturer, and that manufacturer has recently seen increase in the cost of raw aluminum. And the raw aluminum is used obviously to make the bicycles. That means the manufacturer's cost has increased to produce the same bicycles. They're going to pass that increased expense on to the store that sells the bicycles. The store that sells the bicycles is going to pass that expense on to the consumer. Now, if the price of those bicycles increases too much and people decide that they can't afford to buy bicycles anymore, and the sales of bicycles decreases 20%, you obviously have an issue from the bicycle store is going to have lost income, lost revenue. The manufacturer is not going to be manufacturing as many bicycles. They're going to lose some of their income. So the next step might be layoffs, both at the manufacturer and at the bicycle store. Now in that scenario, a lead indicator could be the increased cost of aluminum to manufacture the motorcycle or the bicycles. If you follow that lead indicator and realize where it might be headed, sometimes you can get a bit of a scope for where the industry of selling bicycles might be headed. So the lag indicator in that example would be the layoffs. It's kind of the last consequence of the increased cost of raw material for those bicycles. This is really no different than the economy as a whole or trying to predict where the real estate market's headed. So if we look at the bicycle store scenario, it can be a long time between when the raw material goes up in price and when they actually have to start laying off employees due to slumping bike sales. That could be a year, 18 months, maybe even longer. A lot of companies, it takes them a long time to see changes, even though lead indicators might already be in place. A lot of companies, and well, the government as well, focus on lag indicators, basically the aftermath of something that happened. Usually it's too late to do anything by that point, and you need to make knee-jerk reactions to try to put things back on path. Something that has a much faster response time is the real estate market. Real estate, obviously heavily leveraged. People have large mortgages. As interest rates increase, people's borrowing power decreases. That's why we saw property prices plummet basically as fast as interest rates were going up in 2022. Real estate, for that reason, can be a very good lead indicator of where we're headed with the economy. It responds drastically to interest rates because there is no chain in the middle of things that need to happen. It can happen as fast as someone going into the bank and interest rates have increased, their borrowing power is brought down, they write an offer on a house that day. The seller has to accommodate the new lower borrowing power of that buyer. It can happen in weeks, maybe months, not years. So if we look at the government, the Bank of Canada, the Federal Reserve, and how they adjust interest rates and how they try to steer the economy, again, they're focused on things like unemployment rates or gross domestic product. Those are lag indicators that can be months, years behind where we're actually at. So we saw the Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve very, very slow to acknowledge that inflation was a problem. Most people recognized inflation was a major issue a year or more before the government finally said, yes, there's major inflation. So they were basing their decision on lag indicators. And as soon as they realized that, yes, there is major inflation, they started jacking interest rates. Unfortunately, they're still focused on lag indicators to indicate when they should stop increasing interest rates. They're going to basically wait until we are in a full recession before they acknowledge that we are in a recession, at which point they will start reducing interest rates. How quickly those lag indicators come out is yet to be seen, and how quickly the government is to recognize those is yet to be seen. We don't control interest rates, so we're just kind of along for the ride. But it's good to understand that there might be lead indicators out there already suggesting where we are in the cycle. Based on the real estate market, I say we're actually already in a recession, and I don't know that how quickly we get out of the recession is going to be dependent on how quickly the government starts adjusting its interest rates to lower them to help stimulate the economy again. Hopefully this information can help you understand a little bit of what to do with your investment portfolio, when there might be a good opportunity to buy or sell, focusing on things that are pointing us to where we're headed instead of looking at things that caused us to be where we are is sort of like having a crystal ball. So hopefully this was informative for you, and make sure to tune in for my next video. Thanks.